What is going on, YouTube? What is going on, Kansas City? And what is going on, everybody? And welcome to the Beat of KC. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Lucas Murphy, and I have the pleasure of bringing you Michael Darcy from the KC Sports Report. Michael, how are you doing?
Doing fantastic, my friend. It's always good to be back on the beat of Kansas City. We got a lot of stuff to talk about, and the Chiefs are coming off of a massive win that changed the tide of their season.
Heck yeah, man. I'm excited to talk to you a little bit about the Lions game and kind of bleed into Raiders week, because that's obviously coming up. It's going to be a significant game, and I know you just kind of live streamed and really talked about, the entire AFC West. Then you really kind of went deep into the Raiders and Chiefs, so we'll be talking about that for sure. Really what I want to identify in that Detroit Lions game is obviously it was a statement game. It truly was. The Kansas City Chiefs, there was a lot of questions. We just come off a loss to the Jags. It's like, man, the Lions are coming in town. They're intimidating team. They have a lot of good weapons. Goff's been playing decent football. I mean, they really have. Aiden Hutchinson flying off the end. That dude's a beast. And really, they kind of had some injuries in the secondary, but I anticipated it to be a really good football game, not a blowout the way it was. So my first question to you is, and that kind of really goes into the first question, what would you identify as the most positive piece for this Kansas City Chiefs team?
I think the easy answer is the offense, because the offense looked good once again. To throw kind of a curveball, I'll say that the Chiefs secondary, I was really impressed with what they looked like against a Lions offense that has weapons galore, and they were able to, essentially shut that down. And so I think the secondary and Leo Chenal and the linebackers, man, they were flying around, making plays, hitting Jared Goff. Really the defense outside of the pass rush, I was super impressed by.
Yeah, man, and I continue to be impressed at kind of Leo taking it to another level. Obviously, they always say Spags defense takes time to learn, especially probably as a linebacker, because there's a lot of things you have to work on. And we know that he obviously doesn't wear the green dot, but at the same time, he's got a lot of roles and responsibilities. There's times where he's the spy. There's times where he's doing different things as a linebacker. We've seen him in coverage and pick off Lamar Jackson. There's a lot of expectations with Leo, so I'm really excited to see his growth and really kind of him becoming more of a solid linebacker in this defense. Now, I'm glad you kind of went that route, and the reason is because yet again, and I'm going to talk about this guy all the time, Noel Williams, ladies and gentlemen. Holy smokes, the fact that he was going against Amon St. Brown and really kind of had some shiny moments yet again. We're seeing a little bit more playing time. What are your thoughts really on Noel Williams?
Noel Williams has been so impressive, and he's been so good that we haven't talked about Christian Fulton, who was a healthy scratch before that game. So I think it just goes to show you that, he's still limited in the packages that they put him out there in, but if he's playing, 20-something snaps a game, those 20 snaps are really good. He's guarding, the bigger wide receivers that someone like a Trent McDuffie historically has struggled to defend. But he also, there's a difference. Noah Williams would have trouble with speedy, smaller guys, and Trent McDuffie eats that up. So they complement each other well. Pair that with Jalen Watson, who's having a career year and a contract year. It's undefeated. But I think when you put them all together, and also the safety play of Jamari Connor's been better, but, Brian Cook has been really good. And so when you add it all together, they're playing complementary defense, back there in the secondary.
Sure, and obviously you have Caleb James come on your channel, and he really kind of breaks down film and provides super good insight. Huge shout out to Caleb. Big fan of Caleb, and yeah, for sure. And I guess one of the things I'm hoping eventually is he can kind of talk about, and one thing I kind of want to run by you too is, it seems that Noel Williams really gets out there and shows his strength, which is in man coverage. And that's really where we saw him excel. And I'm wondering if at times that's kind of why we see him in a limited role, is because obviously this defense throws different packages and you have different people out there for zone versus man. It really seems like when they need to man somebody up on the outside, they've been sticking Noel out there and he's been getting after it. And there was a perfect example in this last game when he was on St. Brown and really kind of caused, the ball to just not be caught. I'm a big fan, huge fan. I'm glad he's drafted. And again, Veach hit on another one. We can't undeny that right now. He's just a solid player. Now, obviously that was, again, we talked about how big of a game that was. Do you think that obviously that's a statement for the NFL? Do you think a lot of people are starting to finally realize, like, the Kansas City Chiefs are starting to get it together. They're starting to cohesively come together as a unit, and it's time to really kick it in gear. And now that the Raiders are going to be coming in town, it's time to go.
Huge statement win. I mean, you can even see the national media and some of the talking heads that declared this team was dead and done 2 weeks ago. Very different tune now. I mean, now they're talking about how the Chiefs are one of the best teams in the NFL. To see them completely do a 180, I mean, it is even Colin Cowherd to a certain extent. It is awesome to watch because everybody that counted the Chiefs off said they were dead. They're not dead, ladies and gentlemen. They are just fine.
And I think, too, one thing I want to hit on before we get into the Raiders, I think it's super, like, even though the Chiefs have one of the toughest strengths of schedule, now that the season's kind of developed, we're seeing a lot of the teams that they're anticipating to play or have played are really kind of in line to either make the playoffs or make a very, very solid push for the playoffs. And so I always stated we kind of went through the gauntlet these first 6 games, but when you really kind of look at the rest, it's just going to be as much of a challenge. I think one of the biggest things is we played the Detroit Lions at home. We have the Raiders at home. I believe the following game after that is home. So we get 3 straight home games. I really think, like, building momentum on that, can you kind of just talk about, what your thoughts are as far as the Arrowhead crowd really providing kind of that extra boost to this team?
Yeah, I mean, of course, the Chiefs play better when they're at home. And to have, 77,000 fans on their feet and screaming their heads off, it's an advantage to the defense. It definitely is something that the offense feeds off of every time they get a big play and you just hear the roar of the crowd. This Chiefs team feeds off of the energy of the kingdom, and I think it's a good thing that they navigated the waters without Rashee Rice, and then you get him back at home, by the way. You get him back, and then you have this 3-game stretch, now 2-game stretch after the Lions to kind of get some wins under your belt and use that home crowd and that home cooking to your advantage.
Sure. Hashtag EGE. Everybody's got
EGE.
Ladies and gentlemen. It's going to happen. I'm excited to get to that topic. Now, my last thing with the Detroit Lions is I really want to talk about the offensive line. And obviously, we don't really necessarily know what's going on with Josh Simmons, whether it's family, personal, we're just not sure. And it does not sound like he's going to be available for this next game. Just really kind of in culmination, what were your thoughts on this offensive line? I mean, I felt like Moore played really well for kind of being a last minute kind of plug in at left tackle. There's times where he went against Aiden Hutchinson. I mean, you're talking literally about one of the best premier defensive ends in all of football. And then the fact that this really offensive line is just kind of getting better and better, it seems like. Now, I do think they struggle a little bit with the run game because we still can't establish the run, and obviously some of that's Pacheco for sure, but I still think that this offensive line is just becoming even better and better, and that was a huge knock in that Super Bowl. This offensive line was just like Swiss cheese. What are your thoughts on this offensive line?
I think you've seen them over the course of this season get gradually better. I mean, week 1 and week 2 was a little bit rough, but even then, Kingsley has gotten better every week. Josh Simmons, when he's on the football field, has been very impressive as a rookie so far, and there's some weird stuff going on with that. But, Jalen Moore had a child on Sunday morning, and then he came in, found out he was starting, and neutralized one of the best edge rushers in football. There's really not much more you can ask for. I mean, I'm super impressed by this offensive line. Jawan Taylor hasn't been committing penalties as of late. A lot of positive takeaways.
Sure. No, I could not agree more, and I do think that they'll continue, and I think this will be another kind of big test. And that leads me right into, obviously, Raiders week. Max Crosby is going to be an absolute wrecking ball because he obviously plays to another level against the Chiefs. Him and Mahomes kind of talk about how, off the field, they're kind of, they have some friendship and things like that. I wouldn't even necessarily say friends, but they're acquaintances. And then as soon as they cross that white line, it's game on. Really kind of heading into this Raiders game, what are you anticipating? Because I know obviously you talked about it extensively on your podcast with your AFC West guys, but really kind of what are you feeling for this game?
I think the Chiefs are going to boat race the Raiders, honestly. I think this is, the everybody's got to eat. I think this is the coming out party for the Chiefs with Rashee Rice on offense. I think they're tired of the narrative around them. This offense has also consistently put up over 25 points over the past 3 weeks. So I think this Raiders defense is bad. They turn the football over. this is a chance for the Chiefs to really, go out there against a divisional opponent and take care of business and do it in a big way.
In a market that never sleeps, one name rises above the rest. Lisa Miller from Dan Lynch Real Estate. Trusted by hundreds and recognized across the Midwest, she delivers results when it matters the most. With over 13 years of experience and licenses in both Kansas and Missouri, Lisa isn't just selling houses. She's helping you find a place to call home. Whether you are a first-time homebuyer, looking to upsize, or selling your current home, Lisa makes the process smooth and stress-free. As a local expert passionate about building lasting relationships, she ensures her clients feel confident and satisfied every step of the way. Don't wait, your perfect home is just a call away. Contact Lisa today at 913-579-3246 or 913-369-3000 or visit lisamillersaleskc.com. Let Lisa Miller at Lynch Real Estate help you start your next exciting chapter. And let her know the beat of KC, Lucas Murphy, sent you her way.
I think the Chiefs will win this game I've got it by more than 10.
Yeah, 100%. It's definitely a divisional opponent. And obviously the division, they see each other twice a year, and its film is easy to come by. You kind of have seen Patrick Mahomes. We've seen, how their defense functions and things like that. Obviously, they have a new coaching regime over there, but there's a lot of similarities when it comes to when you play each other multiple times a year. And I really think that the tendencies and things like that, you kind of get to a grasp of. But where I'm going with that is this is going to be the first time, knock on wood, hopefully everybody can hear that. This is the first time we're going to see Hollywood Brown, Rashee Rice, and Xavier Worthy on the same playing surface going at it together. I think that alone is going to take this team to a whole nother level because of the motivation. And I've heard people say it's just Rashee Rice. He hasn't had time to practice, all this stuff. It's the fact that these guys were wearing free 4 shirts 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, and what he brings, that EGE, that hashtag has really just kind of, you're talking about Juju who is going off. Like there's so much motivation behind what Rashee Rice is going to bring that I think even if he doesn't have a 100-yard game and 10 catches and all this stuff, I still think this team's going to be elevated. What are your thoughts on that?
I think he can go out there and have 5 catches for 50 yards, and you're like, he's back. He's back. Because with the way this offense has performed without him, he's going to take some time to ramp up. But I also think he could go out there and have 10 for $120. I mean, you just don't really know. He could have a touchdown this game. He could have 2 touchdowns. It really just depends on the Chiefs' offensive game plan going into Sunday. And I'd like to think that Andy Reid wants to use this new shiny toy that's been sitting on the bench for 6 weeks.
And I think, too, to take it a little bit further, that's another really impactful weapon, like you said, shiny new toy, that you have to account for.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you only have so much accountability in how you're going to scheme this Kansas City Chiefs offense. Where, like, let's say they do find a way to really kind of eliminate Rashee Rice, which I don't think is going to happen, but let's say they really focus because they think he's going to really have an impactful game. That just opens the door for all those other guys. Like, it's extremely hard to understand how you really scheme for a team that just has weapon after weapon. And I think, too, this really kind of takes Travis Kelce's pressure in a way off of him to really just feel like he has to be the guy. He has to be out there every single play. I'm just excited for it. I really think that this is, like you said, going to be a statement game. I do think it's going to be relatively, I don't think that, the spread line, I think is 12.5, something crazy right now. I don't think it'll be that extreme, but I could see the Chiefs beating them by like 14, even maybe 21. But at the same time, I could see this coming down to like a 10-point game just because it's, an AFC West opponent. Man, I guess my final question for you, Darcy, really is if the Kansas City Chiefs, let's say there is a chance that they could get beat, what would cause the Kansas City Chiefs to lose a game like this?
Turnovers galore. I mean, I'm talking not 1, not 2, probably 3 turnovers. Harrison Butker has to continue missing kicks. Andy Reid has to just forget how to call an offense. And defensively, Geno Smith has to take care of the football and carve up a Steve Spagnuolo defense. So, I mean, the more that I talk about what the Chiefs have to do to lose, the more confident that I'm,
Right.
They're going to win. So I think a lot has to go wrong for the Chiefs to lose on Sunday.
Sure. I think the Chiefs will have a really good game plan. I think overall, the Kansas City Chiefs have really found a way to limit solid running backs. I mean, we could go down the list. I mean, the fact that Saquon Barkley didn't absolutely erupt and go off. Derrick Henry didn't absolutely erupt and go off. Everybody was like, Travis Etienne's going to just have the game of his life, and he really didn't have an impact. I think if you're limiting what Ashton Genty can do, you're forcing Geno Smith to have to do what he's not good at because he has so many turnovers. You're forcing him to throw a football to a secondary that just, I think, is ready to eat. And I think that they will do that exact same thing is they'll eat. And I think, obviously Spags is going to design some blitzes. I think Chris Jones is going to be amped for this game. And I really think, I'm going to go out on a limb. I think we sack Geno at least 4 or 5 times. I just do. I have a feeling it's going to happen. So I think this is going to be a statement game even more. A lot of people outside in the NFL world are going to be like, oh, it's just the Chiefs beating up on, the Kansas City West. That's just my thoughts on that, man. And my final question that has nothing to do with this game or the previous game. I just want to get your thoughts on this entire narrative that it seems like big media is pushing. We're seeing a lot of like one-off accounts in social media. They're like, oh, the Kansas City Chiefs get all the favors from the referees. They're getting all the flags forced on the other team and all this stuff. But then when you really go back and look at a lot of things and you break it down, the Kansas City Chiefs actually are getting penalties. I mean, against the Jacksonville Jaguars, we had 13 penalties. Really, kind of, can you just speak to the penalty narrative that just seems to be beating a dead horse?
Lucas, I coined the term mentally silly. It's just mentally silly. The hurdles you have to jump over to say that the Chiefs are carried by the refs. I've seen AI videos of Patrick Mahomes missing the ref and then handing him a stack of money. It is a wild life we are living where people come up with that kind of stuff at the UTEP study, which is not really a study whatsoever. It has the same scientific knowledge as us getting blackout drunk and just spewing football terms. Like genuine, there's nothing in that study. I just think the narrative's so tired. The narrative's so old. The media cannot handle the fact that the Chiefs are actually a pretty good football team, and they're going to be an even better football team, as the season goes on and Rashee Rice gets, back acclimated into the fold.
I think the biggest thing is that they're running out of negatives to talk about. I think you've hit on it multiple times in my videos where it's like this Kansas City Chiefs offense has never fully kind of unleashed the fury in multiple years. And it just seems like that was always something to target, or like they just find negatives. And now they're just like running out of true things to talk about in a negative fashion. So the only thing that they can resort to is the fact that the Kansas City Chiefs are getting favors from the referees, which I think is crazy. I think my last statement, that UTEP study, what they really should be studying is how Patrick Mahomes is having one of the best seasons of his career and how he's actually probably in the running, if not the front runner for the MVP. That's just my thoughts. I'm gonna kind of message them and just see if they'll do a study on that because his play has been insane. I mean, obviously the betting books have Mahomes over Baker Mayfield now, and I truly believe that. I talked about it today extensively on statistically how Mahomes is better. He's outrunning Baker Mayfield. Obviously, we saw Josh Allen last night, and when the limelight is on, he crumbles under pressure, and that's just what happens. But man, I appreciate you coming on. We end every video the exact same way. Let everybody know where they can find you.
You guys can find me on YouTube at KC Sports Report, and if you've not already done so, check out and go support Lucas's sponsor. That's huge, big time.
Heck yeah, man. I appreciate that. I really do. We're going to end this video. Make sure you guys let me know down in the comment section what the final score to this Chiefs-Raiders game is going to be. And make sure you smash that like button, smash that subscribe button. Head over to Darcy's channel. Do the exact same. He puts out a crazy good content. Catch Caleb James over there on his breakdowns as well. Phenomenal, phenomenal guy. And have a good day.